Hi, everybody. This is Rick Godati from Positive Exposure, and welcome to Positive Exposure Connects. Of course, Positive Exposure is a nonprofit organization that's promoting a more equitable and inclusive global community and global world through positive exposure exhibitions, multimedia exhibitions, and film and photography and educational programs and workshops and webinars. And just to kind of create a more inclusive world where we celebrate all of our shared humanity. We are better together. We're in this together. And speaking of being together and better together, we have with us the amazing, the incredible, great new friend of Positive Exposure, internationally acclaimed artist, David Marchi. David is he's internationally renowned artist, and we're going to talk about acquired savant syndrome, which is mind-blowing, and post-traumatic growth, mental health, and this extraordinary advocacy and activism for celebrating mental health. In May 2015, David fractured his back in a boating accident. A few days later, when he woke up, he had the urge to paint. Never painted part of that, and he started painting. And wait till you see some of the things that he's created. He creates, and I was quoting a critic, David creates daring acrylic abstracts that dance with passion and unpredictability. He paints beautiful, riotous gradients and then creates large-scale graphic designs on top, often elements clashing, colors, patterns, lines. Marchi's pieces are amazing examples of energy harness. Welcome, David Marchi. You're amazing. So extraordinary to have you with us. How are you, sir?
Good. I'm doing good, Rick. Wow, it's kind of hard to follow all that excitement, you know, and I think that's one of the things that really got me interested in the organization is looking at the people who are founders who are involved and participate in it. And you know, I've never met someone who's been more committed to a cause than you. And I think it's great. I'm glad to be here and spreading our messages together.
Well, it's just extraordinary to have you who's so committed to creating art as therapy, art as solutions, as strategies for a better world, and using your art exactly to do that. And the way that you arrived to start painting after an accident, after a traumatic injury, I'd love to hear more about that. So tell us a little bit, if you can, give a definition of what exactly acquired savant syndrome is.
All right. Well, if I could step back a little bit to May 10th, just to give the people kind of a feel of how this happened and the confusion that comes along with. But I was down in Tampa, Florida, and we went out for just a Sunday afternoon boat ride and brought a lunch, and it was pretty rough out there. And we hit a wake, and I was thrown up in the boat, and I came down, landed on my back, and I broke my back and severely injured my two wrists. And you know, I was in the hospital, and I just started having these crazy dreams of colors and these hands pushing colors all around. And about a week later, I just had this urge, and it's an unexplained urge to paint. And I never painted in my life before. And so I had someone go out and get a paintbrush and paints and an easel, and I literally started the end of May and haven't stopped since. And the thing for me was, how do you explain getting such a gift and never having the talent, at least learned talent before? So it was very, very confusing for me. And I was searching out, is it a condition? Is it a syndrome? And the first thing I discovered was a thing called post-traumatic growth. And working with and finding Dr. Richard Tedeschi on this to understand exactly what that is, and as opposed to post-traumatic stress disorder, post-traumatic growth is it's a direction and a path that after severe trauma, and it doesn't have to be an accident, it could be a horrible divorce, it could be a incredibly bad situation in your life. It's an area where you decide to take the path on where you want to go and accept the condition and make your life better and learn from it and move forward. And there's a whole 4 or 5 step process that you go through on that. So I'd encourage people to go and look at post-traumatic growth, because it's not really that well known, and everybody knows the post-traumatic stress disorder.
Yes.
So, having that one thing and one piece helped me out, and I actually flew down to Washington and spent a couple of days with Dr. Tedeschi and learned about his mission, which was predominantly with vets. And through his work and through me exposing him to the creative community that really is part of this PTG, we've been working to put a portal on their website. So really didn't answer like how I became an artist. And so, I did more research. I'm relentless when it comes to that. My previous life, I was marketing guy and owned a global marketing company. So I was at my house one day, and I got a call from my intellectual property attorney, and he says, you got to go turn the TV on right now. You got to go watch 60 Minutes. There's something about the show that is about you. And I'm like, okay. So I went and looked at it, and it was a program about savant syndrome. A big part of it was based on the autistic scale and how the savant syndrome falls into that. And so I looked up Dr. Daryl Treffert as I put in savant syndrome, and he came up and read quite a bit about him. And I said, I got to reach out to him and by chance see if I get a response. And sent a really long letter, explained what had happened, and I got a really nice message back from someone that works with him that says, as you realize, he's really busy, and it may take him a while to get back to you. And I think it was 24 hours or maybe less that I received this amazing letter from him. And that was the start of our dialogue together, and the start of really explaining to him what I was going through, and having explained to me what it may be, and then going into further diagnosis with the acquired savant syndrome. So, but yeah, it was like a huge weight off my shoulders. It allowed me now to call myself an artist, because for the first year or so, I didn't feel like I earned the title. I didn't go to school for it. I'm not an outside artist. So yeah, it was the beginning of one of the most blessed journeys I've ever imagined.
Amazing, extraordinary. People are jumping in. One friend is asking wanted to know, when did the accident happen? And it was in May 2015. Is that correct?
Yes.
And then we have a great friend, Anthony Pataka, is also an artist here in New York City, that I can't wait for the two of you to get together.
Yeah, love that.
He has
love that.
brain injury. I had an experience with traumatic brain injury, but he's an extraordinary artist, and he's a big advocate. And the two of you are going to be best friends. I just know I can't. But there's so many beautiful pieces that you're creating. Can we share some of your work now? Would you mind?
Sure.
A little bit about that? I'm so
no, not at all.
What this beautiful work is that and never painting prior to this, and then starting painting and being so prolific, and the work is monumental, and it vibrates, and it's just extraordinary. So let's start here.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Here, make sure you can see that okay, and we can continue on this. You see that okay?
Yeah. Yep.
And so
I put my glasses on now, so I'm good.
So do you paint with your glasses on?
Yes, I can't see that well anymore, so I paint with my glasses on, and I end up having a ton of paint on my glasses.
So these are images from your very beautiful website. Some of these incredible acrylics that you have, and one is the Richter scale, the other is Crossroad. Did you want to say anything about this? I have a lot of things to show. You can certainly speak to these.
Sure. The Richter scale is going to bring me back to my original dreams. And one of the other things I was trying to solve was whose hands were these that I was seeing, because it wasn't paintbrushes, it was hands just dragging and pulling paint all over. And so I was out in Sag Harbor, and a good friend of mine is big interior designer, David Scott, and I rolled my paintings out, and he said, wow, you paint in the style of Gerhard Richter. And I was like, oh, thank you. I had no idea who he was. So I went home and Googled it and really studied a lot and watched a lot of films. And I discovered that he did a series called Hands. And I went to the Hands series and I'm like, wow, I think that's what I saw. So the Richter scale is kind of my tribute to the discovery of that. And a lot of my painting has been in the style of Gerhard Richter. He doesn't use paintbrushes that often. He uses palettes and he drags large pieces of wood. His work is extraordinary. He's one of the most successful living contemporary artists out there today. So hopefully someday I'll meet him. That'll be my dream. Crossroads was something I painted when I was in the crossroads of my life, but in a very different situation. It wasn't about the accident. It was about my relationship and my relationship going south very quickly. And you know, the way I handle things like this now, because I understand I have the tool, is I take a deep breath and I don't get the anxiety that I used to have in these situations. And I can go into my studio or I can pull out a sketch pad and I could just sit there and it's almost like meditation. I just bring myself right into it. So, you know, the Crossroads is a kind of a personal piece. It's actually in someone's home on Park Avenue. So I never told them the story, but maybe they'll hear it now and give it back.
All your work is breathtaking. And the beauty of it, and because it also, and I'd like you to talk about this entire thing, is that your work is also about resilience, but it's about strength, but it's also about advocacy and activism. And how you paint, and it's also you're connecting with who you are and not denying one bit of who you are. And it's just extraordinary that it's all so you.
Yeah, and I, you know, when I started painting, you know, and sometimes I painted 24 hours a day. I mean, in 4 years, I've painted over 150 paintings, and the ones we're looking at right now are large. They're 40 by 60. I actually had to find a studio where I could have 4 of them going on at once. But you know, I got noticed. My Instagram got very large, and then I started being called by collectors, and this was an area I had no idea about. I could do marketing, but I had no idea about how you price them, how you sell them, what do you say to them. But it just all happened very quickly, and I started getting commission work, and then I stopped, and I really said I need to focus on my art because it's healing me, and I'm not ready to go to that commercial level at all, because I never got into this to make money and sell paintings. My mission is to show people and just have people discover through my work that there's hope, and they can look at my story and see that I was in a pretty bad state, and I still am. I go through quite a bit of surgery. I just had back surgery last December. I'm having another major surgery on my dominant right hand at the end of September, which removes bones. But I'm resilient. When I had my left wrist done, you see pictures of me with a cast on, and you know, I made tools so I could pull the painting around. But the whole message and mission is to let people know that there's hope and kindness in what this is about, and also discovering people like me to create a community. And I discovered just by LinkedIn, I just put in acquired savant, and you know, I discovered this amazing artist, Diana, and then I saw another artist in my hometown who was in the paper and had a tragic accident and broke his neck and was paralyzed. And his paintings are astounding. And so, you know, Alder, Diana, and I talk every Thursday. We decided to pull together the Artist Savant Collective. And the mission is the same. The mission is to take all of our work, because as acquired savants, we each have a different situation. Mine was spinal, and to get it out there so people can discover this and come to a site and understand.
Stunning. Amazing.
So, the previous one, just quickly, I love snow. I have a house in Vermont, and white seems to come to in my head. I dream every night about the paintings I'm going to paint, and I go into my studio and pick the paint. It's almost like magnets, and so the whites and the blues, which to me just signify a lot of things. Blue is my favorite color. I think blue is the sky, blue is the water. It's pretty much everything that makes us and makes up our planet. So you see a lot of that in my paintings.
So beautiful, so beautiful.
Yeah, blue eyes. I don't like naming my paintings because I'm you kind of lose track of them, and then you don't know what to paint or to name them. And my two sons, who help me out in installations and also putting these things in order and making sure that we know where they are when someone wants to buy them, they keep on saying to me, my son Justin and John are like, Dad, where is this painting? And I'm like, well, you have it in your hands. He's like, no, that's a different name. So I just rename these things as I go. And if I forget what the name is, I just throw a name out there. And that was the case in this one. I'm like, I forgot what this one is called. Looks like blue eyes. That's what we're going to do.
Beautiful.
There's no science to it.
That's gorgeous, David. We're just going to kind of go through a few of these,
Sure. Yeah, I'm taking classes at the Art Student League in New York, and I am in Larry Poon's class. If people don't know who he is, they gotta look him up. He's an amazing artist, contemporary. I met his wife Paula, who was also an artist, by fate, and she got me into his class. And then the pandemic happened, and now we're doing this online. And I have another great teacher now who's filling in, Peter Bonner, who I've taken. I'm on my third month of classes with him, and so I have 35 colleagues, and he is really helping me emphasize warmth and cool, and how to bring things forward, and how to navigate scale and different planes on my work. So, it's the first learning that I've had, and it's great. I'm very comfortable with it, and I'm learning a lot.
The incredible story. I mean, just all the conversations that we've had, where you had your accident, you were not a painter prior to that. You kind of woke up from your 3 days later, and all you needed to do was paint, and you started painting prolifically. But you were not diagnosed with savantism or acquired savant syndrome until 2019. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it was a long journey of discovery. I don't think you find a solution right away. I don't think that for me, pharmaceuticals are always put in front of you when you are hospitalized with severe injuries, and I really I fought it. And I think the painting was definitely the part for me that allowed me to lose the pain. And I have this line I use, a fine line between pain and paint. And it's true. It really helped me stay off of medication as much as possible, and just kind of use the power that you have in your own self.
That's extraordinary, David. Incredible. And who represents you? Or do you have a representative? Do you have are you represented in New York, globally?
I did. Yeah, I did have a rep, and I also had a gallery show in New York. And once again, I mean, I'm still so new at this, and I just wanted to stop and be focused. As a marketing guy,
did we lose you? Oh, I think we lost you. Come back. Oh, hey. So I guess we lost you for a second, David. Hopefully we'll get you back. I'm going to stop this. I'm going to go back and see if we can contact David. So we lost him for a second there. Hold on. Let's see. So anyway, his work is incredible. Look at this. I mean, here he's coming back. There you are. I switched to hi there. Are you okay?
Yeah, I always have backups. I have my, can you see me okay?
Yeah, he's look great.
Okay. Yeah, I have my iPad and my iPhone because like I said, I'm a marketing guy and technology sometimes goes south.
There you go, Dad. I know.
Yeah. So I'm sorry about the cutout.
No worries.
But this is some of my paintings. I have this thing called the palette series because as I'm dragging the paint around different size palettes, some of them are 3 or 4 feet. People have said to me, "Wow, that's beautiful. Can I buy it?" And I'm like, when I sit back and look at them, they actually are. Some of them are a piece of art. So I save the boards and. And I just kind of put them up in my gallery. But what I was saying before with agents and galleries, and I've had people in the textile industry come to me and ask if we wanted to do a joint venture on textiles. And I actually had one a woman who is incredible carpet designer, and she took one of my paintings and created a carpet out of it. But then I stopped because I didn't want to lose my focus on painting and the message through my painting, because it could be very distracting and time consuming. So, so to answer your question, I don't have an agent. I am not represented by a gallery. If by chance it happens, it happens. I'm not really walking around with my portfolio.
Well, again, you're the work. It's you can hear it. It's so visually powerful. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Liz, what is your actual artistic process?
I dream the colors at night, and the most difficult thing for me is trying to calm my brain. And so I dream the colors, and I'll go into my studio. I usually have at least 4 by 8 pieces of plywood I put the canvas on, and I line the colors of paint that I dreamed about, or as much as I can remember. And I literally just I sit there. You got to get into the moment. I just can't go and pick up a brush and start throwing paint on it. But and it's it's hard to explain, but my hand goes to the colors. And I knew nothing about colors. I'm learning a lot about colors in Peter's class, but the colors came very natural to me. And then the process starts. You pick up a brush, and there's all different sizes I have, or I pick up the palette and I put the paint on it and just start. And once you start, you get into it. It's almost like meditation. And people will ask me, how do you know when it's done? And you just know. You have that feeling that it's done. Now, I've ruined a lot of paintings because I didn't like them. I have a quick story. I was at a residency in Orqueville, France, and in a beautiful chateau, and it was overlooking a very small town with a church steeple. And I said, I'm going to try to paint that, but I'm not figurative and plein air. And so I said, I'm going to just do it in my style. So I stayed up all night and painted this, contemporary piece of this. And, and I looked at it, it was like 3 in the morning, and I'm like, I took some pictures of it, and I just kind of posted it on my Instagram and Facebook. And then I hated it, and I painted over the whole thing. So the next morning I look at my social media, and people are like, wow, that's unbelievable. It's a bit of a departure, but we know exactly what it is, and we love it. And I'm like, oh man, can I scrape the paint off? But most of my paintings have another painting under them, and I think if you talk to artists, they'll tell you the same thing. It's like paint overs are really, really common in our community.
And in your own, not that you're a big out there promoting your work on a daily basis, but do you find that you're using your marketing skills that you developed as a marketing person to help kind of have people have access to this very important work?
Yeah, I think when I'm in the general community, I try to suppress my marketing skills. I had a amazing marketing career, and had the incredible experiences of traveling with Elton John and living on Skywalker Ranch and working with George Lucas, and it came very natural to me. But the problem is when I'm amongst a group, I know how to market and I know how to market my stuff. And what I'm very careful about is I don't cross the line of commercializing it. So I think I have an advantage over people that don't have a marketing background, as artists who have been taught have an advantage also. So I use it when I need to use it to promote my mission. And once again, I don't use it to create textiles and whatnot at this point. It's the mission. And if it does evolve into a commercial area, then my commitment also is to make sure that I support the foundations that I'm associated with, not just by my art, but also financially, as painting.
Well, just as we're completely so excited and so thrilled that for our fundraiser, our big gala 2020 on September 24th, you got to check it out, everybody. David has donated 2 very amazing pieces for our silent auction item. I'm so excited. Everybody, people have been calling and saying, I want it. I don't care. I want it. So it's like so amazing. So David, thank you so much for believing in positive exposure, for being so generous with us and sharing your vision, sharing your art, for being such an extraordinary activist. I mean, you're that wonderful collaboration and collection of tremendous talent, but strong convictions and commitments and beliefs and fairness and creating a more equitable and inclusive world. It's all about celebrating our shared humanity, and so our languages are just so, there's such synergy. So I thank you again for supporting positive exposure, for being our friend and helping us, but also for all the work that you're doing with all the foundations that you're collaborating with currently. I mean, you're a visionary, and you're a humanitarian as well.
Well, I have to say that quickly that I came to you through sitting at a bar at the Four Columns in Newfane, Vermont, where I live, and meeting a woman there, and seeing my work. Her name was Maureen, and then we had an unbelievable conversation all night, and then lost touch only because I was going to doctors and having surgeries and whatnot. But she called me one day. She goes, I have a really good friend, Lisa, and I really want to introduce you. I showed her your website. She loves your art. So, sitting at a little bar at the Four Columns Inn in Newfane, Vermont, led me to Lisa Johnson, who is in your organization. And the moment she called me, and I think we were on the phone for over an hour, it's fate. My life is driven by fate. And I'm like, this seems like such a great organization. And then I read about you, and I'm so blessed and happy to have my journey's been brought to you, because I look forward to really supporting the unbelievable work that you're doing to allow people around the world to be included in everyday life. And I don't like people to look at me as if I have a disability. And I think most people I speak with are the same way. My disability may not be seen on the outside, but I think it's really important for us not to be labeled by the disabilities we have. It's going from disability to an ability.
Beautiful. And a great focus for positive exposure, which makes this introduction and this new relationship that we're developing, and our potential collaborations in the future is we have a very strong focus on mental illness and mental health, as you do. And I think it's so important that we have those conversations. As we all know, that mental illness, although it is invisible, carries the greatest stigma. And positive exposure is all about using the arts to challenge that stigma and celebrate, celebrate human diversity, and bring in all those colors and all those sounds and all those vibrations to the table. So there's so many wonderful, exciting things that we can work on together. So I'm thrilled for that.
And I'm really interested in the mental health area also, because, you know, I have mental health issues, and it's hereditary. And, you know, when you list all the things that I have, I kind of look up and I said, okay, what else are you going to give me? You know, I have all these things now. You can't really throw much more at me. But mental health, listen, we got to talk about it. You know, people like Lady Gaga, who got out there and said it and talked about hers. I think it brings it down to, you know, it's a problem that we can solve, but it's a very real problem. And I think people need to be comfortable talking about it and not looking at it as a sickness, but how do you figure it out?
Well, also to have healthy opportunities to have those important discussions, and help us to have those discussions inspired by art, those dialogues inspired by art across the board, to create these opportunities for all of us to get involved in that conversation and to take the shame out the window and bring and own this, and then have very important discussions. May I move on to the next slide, David?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I thought we were ending, but I just want to.
We can go a little quicker now, because I just want to get you back on the full.
Yeah. A circle eats cross. Once again, what do you name this thing? I'm like, oh, there's a circle and a cross. It looks like they're having lunch. Once again, this is a departure from my usual style, but, you know, I think, you know, being an artist or being a mechanic or a teacher, I think it's really important to go outside your comfort zone. And, you know, you hear about that a lot, but when you push yourself a little bit and you're not afraid to, you know, put that paint on there, or, you know, or use a different medium, rip up paper, it's amazing what you can evolve into. So I think I'm really in an evolution stage now. I mean, I don't know if you could see the squares back here, but, you know, that was an assignment by Peter to create 49 squares that's based on yellow, using yellow. So, you know, every one of these squares has some form of yellow in it, and it was arduous, you know, a painful project, but I love it. I'm actually doing a couple more of those, because if you see the way I paint, this is such the opposite, because this is discipline, and it's taping, and it's squares, and you know, I have ADD also. There, that's the other one. And so, you know, things have to be perfect and have to be aligned. So, you know, that was going out of my comfort zone completely, and it was frightening. But, you know, when I started it, I'm like, I could do it. You know, it's like I could do this. So that's why I'm doing a blue one right now.
How extraordinary for that kind of advice from you, David, is that helped you as an artist to step out of your comfort zone, and we all do. And that's not even, and that's not just specific to artists, but, you know, again, you know, our big philosophy of positive exposure is change how you see how you change. Create opportunities to to refocus and use other parts of your life that have meaning and have the resilience is there, and all this philosophy steps up by not going where you're just used to, but stepping out of your comfort zone.
You know, Rick, I spent a lot of time on your website, and I went to the section that lists all the syndromes, and I went through every single one of them, and I spent time. And I mentioned to you, it was very emotional for me to go through each one of them. But at the end, I said, you know, I'm emotional because I don't like to see people in pain or people hurting. But I didn't see the pain and hurting, the physical. All these people I saw were, you know, happy. You know, they were, you know, kids and adults, and you know, that part of it to me really hit home. Where, and this is why I really love your organization and I'm committed to it, is, you know, helping those people just be included in everyday life. And, you know, that's, you know, I encourage everybody to go to that page and take a look at it, because, man, I learned so much just from watching those kids and adults. So I had a little diversion, but.
No, it's I can't wait to get you involved in our Pearls project. and have you actually ask questions to some of our Pearl ambassadors and have them kind of find out more about your work and have them even describe your work in their own words. And yet, it's all, we find them as we travel around the globe, David, everywhere we go, we're constantly on the road, because right now we're sheltered and safe at home. But the beauty is that we find that everybody, no matter where, what community, what language, what culture, everybody wants to be seen, wants to be heard, and they want to belong. And everything that we do is all about making sure that this is a party and everybody, it's only going to be a great party if everybody's invited. And everybody's not just invited, but they're invited to dance. And that's kind of where we're going with all this, and we will continue to go with this. So thanks for recognizing that and positive exposure and in seeing those gorgeous faces and those smiles and not seeing those challenges. So I'm just going to, we have just, these just go on and
yeah, I'll just go through them. You know, I'm mad at the dirt, obviously. You know, that's from Mommy Dearest. I'm not mad at you, I'm mad at the dirt, because I couldn't think of something and I had watched the movie. But yeah, this is just another, I mean, this is one of my favorites, actually. Just, it's a diversion of colors. One thing that, once again, Peter's class is he's absolutely encouraging mixing colors, and don't just take colors out of, you know, your primary colors and paint with them, which a lot of my paintings do have that. And once again, this is stepping out of my comfort zone to actually create your own colors. And it's fantastic. I mean, it's just a whole nother part of my work now.
Beautiful.
And Infinity, you know, I love circles. I mean, I have a lot of work with circles in them, and I don't even know how I started this one, but I bought spray paint, and, you know, once again, I'm like, not gonna use a brush. I'm gonna go out and see how I do with spray paint. And, you know, and once again, I liked it. I really enjoyed using that acrylic spray paint with acrylics, and then with gold leaf. And so, you know, every picture may be different. You'll see my style is, you know, as you go through all my work, but I love stepping out. And, you know, people will tell me, that's not you, you know. When I posted that, I mean, a lot of people love it, but they're like, well, you know, it's a departure. I'm like, what does that mean? You know, it's, you know, departures are good. And so, yeah, I just, you know, I go for it. I just, you know, figure out what I want to do and try to make it happen.
I'm going to unshare the screen right now, David, because I want to get you back on screen and talk a little bit more about some of the other programs that you're involved in. So
sure.
Stop that. There's so many pieces here. It's so kind of, but what we're doing, as you know, you may not realize that we're doing this because you're not on the Facebook Live part of Positive Exposure Connects, but we're posting your images, we're posting websites and information and definitions, et cetera, as well with our team. So people can find and have access to where you are and who you are. We're getting comments, and lots of friends are giving a lot of shout outs and just waving and saying how much they love you and how important this work is. So, but let's talk a little bit more about some of you're such a great teacher in the work that you're doing, just by presenting your authentic self and presenting this authentic work. What is the next step for you, David? How are you? Where are you moving to? Where do you see this going? Where are you traveling towards?
Well, I think, I mean, I want to go back to, I love to travel. And after my accident, obviously traveling, I mean, I had 4 million miles on my American Airlines Advantage card. After the accident, obviously, I didn't travel, and my traveling was incredibly limited. But as I got better, my doctors said to me, you know, it's not that you can't travel, and we encourage you to actually travel, because I told them I'm going to all these artists and residencies in different parts of the world that more for healing than anything else. And so, you know, it's a process. It was a process for me to get on a plane, and all these things that I needed to do to prepare prior to getting on a plane, from little things like making sure I have an aisle seat. And also when I got to the location, it was literally taking a day or two just to acclimate my back and situation. And I always had medical assistance identified in each of the countries I went to. But, you know, I love Berlin, is one of my favorite cities in the world. I lived in Hamburg for 3 years. I want to go back to Berlin and my partner will let me go back and live there for, I love to live there for 6 months to a year, because my greatest inspiration came from that city. So my next steps is still the evolution of my work, but producing the work as I grow, and also just falling into opportunities. And I'll tell you another quick one. So we're at a beach house in Connecticut, and my partner's sister walks by with her dog every morning at 6 a.m. And she came by and she said, you know, there's a couple up the street that have a beautiful dining room table with 8 chairs, and there's a free sign on it. And we're renovating a house here, and we need a table. So naturally, I jump in the car and go and look at it. And so to cut to the chase on this, I went. You know, the couple invited me in the house, and we started talking. And she said, "You look, sound Italian," and you know, so it went on. My mother and she were born in the same town. So his son came out, and immediately I knew his son was autistic. So then we went outside, and I started talking to him, and I said, both of our names are David too. We spent an hour talking, and I told him about my journey, and then I asked him. I said, "Do you think your son will want to come over and paint with me?" And so that led into a really great conversation, which was yes. And so he's bringing his son with autism and his other son over on Friday, and we're literally going to sit here and paint. That's my next steps. My next steps are, you know, letting people know that I'm available to help. And when you fall into something like this, and you meet someone like that, and it's right, you know, in your line of what you were meant to do, it's like, that's the most satisfying thing for me. And selling a painting isn't satisfying. That's satisfying to me. So I can't wait until Friday, because I'm gonna, you know, actually create. I asked him how his dexterity is, and he's not really good. And so I said, well, we'll paint with our hands. We'll paint with our mouths. We'll paint with our feet. You know, there are other things you could use. So, and his father was like, you know, you could see he was so thankful. It was like, wow, he's going to love this. So yeah, I can't wait. That's what gets me up every morning.
Wow, it's extraordinary. It's wonderful. I'm thrilled. I can't wait to get you over to our gallery here, David. I just can't wait to see you in this space. And whether it be painting with some of our own community, or just teaching, or just presenting your work, however this works together, this is incredible.
And I'd like to also.
Please.
I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
No, I also want to. I would also, you know, want to partner with you on the acquired savant syndrome area. You know, also, and you know, with Dr. Treffer, who might be watching this right now. You know, it could be a real important next step for people to understand this syndrome also, and see the beauty out of it.
Absolutely. Well, I just can't help myself, and I have to just picking the beauty right there. There he is.
How's that?
Amazing. I can't wait till we shoot. This is great. You're awesome.
I'm coming down next week to see the studio.
Great. I can't. We'll be here.
All right.
Zach and the studio. I can't wait to show you everything. So, David, thank you so much for sharing so much of your beautiful vision with us, for talking to us about acquired savant syndrome, but also talking about the post-traumatic growth. I'd really like to even talk more about that as well. Of course, we are also familiar with post-traumatic stress syndrome and PTSD, of course, and disorder, and we get it. But post-traumatic growth is a whole other philosophy. And I've done a lot of research in the last couple of weeks about that, reading up at your suggestion, and some really amazing information out there, some great studies going on as we speak. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, I mean, at some point too, and I've mentioned this, it'd be great to get, you know, Dr. Treffert and Dr. Tedeschi, you know, in a conversation, because, you know, it's great to hear the experts on this, because it really broadens the message of what people should look for. And, you know, and so, yeah, I'd love to have you invite them, and we'll do another session.
I can't wait to see. So I'll see you next week. David, thanks so much again for sharing so much of your brilliant timing, your brilliance, and your vision with us. We are so appreciative, and we're right there with you in mental health in everything we're moving forward in all of our new potential initiatives to make sure that we're creating a world where everyone belongs and all.
We'll start next week when I go to your gallery.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for inviting me. This is very meaningful. All right.
And again, thank you so much for making that beautiful donation for our silent auction. There's two beautiful paintings. I'm thrilled that they're going to be a part of our silent auction. I know it's celebrating our gala on September 24th. So again, thank you, sir. You're amazing.
Cheers.
Cheers. Take care. Thank you.